Hello, everybody, and welcome back to New Minds. I hope you guys are all doing well, and welcome to the STEAM train. If this is your first time catching an episode with us, welcome, and feel free to check out all of our previous episodes on newminds.tv. Now that that's all the way, I am Mr. Dorian, and I'm excited to get started today. Let's go ahead and see what's in our box so we can figure out what we're creating today. Okay, so it looks like we have a piece of white paper, a piece of scrap construction paper, something to color with, a ruler. We're not going to use this very much, it's just going to be for checking. Tape. It is important that you do use tape for this lesson and not glue. You're only going to need a very little bit, but tape is important. I have some square origami paper, some scissors, and also something to write with. So today we're doing something super cool. We're doing an art project that also uses math in it. There's a famous artist named M.C. Escher, and what he did was he created all of these different types of illusions and strange masterpieces. If you've watched Steam in Espanol, you've probably heard about him before. But the super cool thing is that he did something called tessellations, where he'd have one picture like a Pegasus or a bird, and it would repeat over the whole page with no empty space. They all locked together perfectly. The cool thing is that we can create this on our own at home using just simple supplies. This paper we're going to use to draw our tessellations on, so we're going to set this aside for now. What we need is a square piece of paper. I'm going to use this because it's a little stiffer and it'll be easier for me to use. But if you don't have a square piece of paper, I'm going to show you how you make one with a regular piece of scratch construction paper. The cool thing about making your own is you can make it any size you want. But keep in mind, we're going to put a bunch of these patterns on this page. So you don't want it to be any bigger than 3 inches, or you won't be able to fit very many. So all you're going to do is you're going to take a corner that is from the edge. So this has a flat piece on it, so I'm going to use this as my corner. You're going to fold the corner in diagonally until it makes a triangle, just like this. All I did was fold it over, like the first step of making an airplane. Now to make sure this is going to be square, you want to measure the 2 sides and make sure they're the same length. So this one is about 3.5 inches. And this is 3.5 inches. So this is going to be square because they're the same amounts. The next thing to do is just trace the edges and then cut this out, and when you unfold it, you'll have a square piece of paper. So I'm going to trace the edges of the folded part. The more square you make it, the better. Then, once you've traced it, I've drawn the line around, you're going to unfold it and you'll see you have a square in the corner. Just cut out this square and you'll be ready to start. And I'm going to take one of these off because I'm going to be making 2, just so you see 2 different ways to do it. But you really only need to make 1 for this project. I'm going to put away my scratch construction paper now. I'm done with it. I still need my scissors, tape, and my marker. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the square into a more interesting shape, but it's going to be able to interlock with itself. Squares right now will go with squares, but we want to change it using math and make them line up. Now this shape has 4 corners. These 4 points are the corners. These are very important. I want you to label one side A, that's probably going to be the top, and another side B. It's going to be on the edge. They should not be on opposite sides, they should be next to each other. So I'm going to make this top edge A, and this left for me edge B. I'm just going to label them so I don't forget. A, B. So now I have side A and side B. Now this is the fun part. If you get really good at this, you can make it look like something already. But if it doesn't, don't think about what you're making. Just try and make a shape. This shape is going to touch one corner and connect to the other corner. Don't make it go too far into the page, but just make a shape that connects from one corner to another corner. So I'm going to kind of draw like a squiggle. Put a big divot here and go up. So this is the shape I drew from A. You notice it touches both corners. Touches this corner, touches this other corner. Now I'm going to do the same thing on side B. I'm going to start from the corner, make a new shape that goes this way. I'm going to make this one kind of pointy. Just like this. You should have two edges with some shapes on them. Now, outside of your lines, make sure you label A and B again, just so you know where they go. A, B. And now the side that's written on, you notice the side that's the correct way, and you see how they move. Now, what makes this a tessellation is we're actually going to take A and move it to the bottom. We're going to take B and move it across. So we're taking a piece of the shape, we are sliding it down, or sliding it across. We're going to have the same amount of stuff. We're not adding or taking away any paper, but it's going to be in a different shape. And that's how you get the cool illusion of it interlocking. So we're going to do this one at a time. We're going to cut out A following the line. The more on the line it is, the better. So start from the corner, cut around, try and stay in the middle of the line you drew. Don't switch from one edge to the other. Take your time with this. How this stencil turned out will determine how your whole piece comes out. So if there's a part you spend the most time on, it's making this stencil. And if you're making the first one and it doesn't turn out perfect, you can always make a new one. You are new to this, so it's just going to take some practice. But I cut out piece A from the top. And now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to move it to the bottom. And I'm going to tape it on both sides. This is why it's important to have tape, because it should sit right next to it. It shouldn't overlap at all. They should sit right next to each other. And I'm going to go ahead and tape this on. Make sure you don't tape over any lines that you're going to cut out with part B. So I'm going to go ahead, tape both sides just so it doesn't fall off and it stays nice and straight. You only need one piece of tape for each side. So I've taped the front side, now I'm going to tape the back side. You notice that this shape is the opposite of this shape. This part's cut out and this part's filled in. And that's going to help us with our interlocking shape. I'm going to tape the back, and then we're going to move on to part B. There we go. So part B, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to move it across the shape to the other side. So I'm going to cut out along the diagonal, cut all my zigzag lines. Make sure not to overlap this piece that I just cut out. That's why we went to the corner. And then I'm going to tape it on the other side. Take your time. Make the edges nice and straight lines if you can. It'll make it easier for the next step we're going to do with this. Almost there. Just 4 more cuts. 3 more cuts. 2 more cuts. And last cut. So same thing as we did on the top, I have done on the side. So I took this piece, cut it out, and I'm going to slide it across, blah, 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 to this other side, and I'm going to tape it on. Now when you're first starting, I would make it on the bigger side and make them smaller as you get better at it. Smaller ones aren't any harder, but it will take more work when you do our finished product, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we start our next step. So right now, we have a weird shape. It doesn't necessarily look like anything yet. You can flip it, maybe it looks something like this. Maybe now this looks like a face, and this is some hair, and this is a nose. If I turn it this way, maybe turn it up, it looks like a baby bottle. Maybe it's someone doing jumping jacks. but I think I want to put it this way. We're going to turn this into something. We're going to have to add details and make it into a shape. There's a squirrel outside the window. Anyway, we're going to turn this into a cool shape. So you're going to take your paper, and you're actually going to trace your design. Just trace one for now. You don't have to do it straight up and down. You can tilt it, you can turn it, you can flip it over. Pick any way that kind of looks like something, and just trace it onto your paper. Make sure your stencil stays still when you're tracing it. Do not move it. A thinner line would work better. I'm just drawing with the big line so it shows up on camera better and you guys can see. But thinner lines you trace with are actually going to help you later. Make sure the lines line up the whole time you're tracing it so you didn't move it. Everything's looking good. Take your time. Almost around. You fix some pieces where it didn't trace. And there we go. So now I have a shape. It just looks like this. It's a simple shape. This is trace. It's just a little thin so you guys can't see it. But I needed to add some details. Don't draw outside of the lines. And you'll see why in a second. But I'm going to add some details to make this look like a face so everyone can see what I see. So first I'm going to do is add an eyeball and a mouth. I'm going to draw where his hair goes. So now I kind of have this, and it looks more like a face. Now here's what makes this a cool project. Right now, it just looks like a face on a page. And you're like, what's so special about that? Well, now we can actually take our stencil, and you can repeat this pattern over and over and over again until we fill up the whole page. So I'm going to take my stencil, and I'm going to line it up where this one ends. So where the hole is, I'm going to line it up with this paper. You notice how they line up perfectly. I'm going to hold it in place. I'm going to trace the whole thing. And then I'm going to line it up on the bottom. And if you did it right, they'll line up perfectly. And I'll trace it again. And then I'll line it up on this side. Almost. You line it up on this side and trace it perfectly. It'll make another face. And I'm going to do that until I fill up the whole page. I'm going to go kind of quick, so it's going to be a little bit sloppy, but I want you guys to see a finished product. So I'm going to go ahead and start tracing these. And your tessellation doesn't have to end up like a face. Maybe it ended up like a cat. Maybe it ended up like a car. Maybe it ended up like a bird. I've seen some that look like unicorns. MC Escher has one where he makes birds that tessellate, or Pegasus. They make a whole bunch, which is like a winged horse. And they're pretty cool when they finish. And the cool part is when you start it, you never know what your shape's really going to end up looking like. So I'm going to trace just around this first one just so you can see it. But you want to try tracing it until you fill up the whole page. So now I have two faces. And I would add the details on this, but I'm going to go ahead and trace the other four around him until I start to fill up my page. This is why bigger ones are a little bit easier to start with, because you have to draw less faces. Smaller ones, you're going to have to draw a whole bunch. I wouldn't make it any smaller than an inch, because then you're doing about 50 tracings, and that would be a lot of time. But if it's something you really want to work on, and it's your passion, go ahead, try it out. I'm tracing the other side now, just so you can see how it makes a pattern front to back. The cool thing is that we started with a square, and we just sculpted it into a new shape. The way we did it, by starting from the corners, makes it so they're always going to interlock no matter what shape you make. I didn't do anything special to make it interlock. This one's going off the page, that's fine. Just keep going until it goes off the edges. Mine, I would probably be able to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then maybe 7, 8, 9 more faces. But I'm just going to draw one on top and bottom, and I might draw one in this corner, just so you can see what it starts to look like. So now I'm going to trace on the bottom, make sure my stencil's the right way. It should line up with the lines of your other one if you're holding it in the right spot. Mine's looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. When I did a test run of this one, I made this weird bird that had like a really long neck, and I didn't like it, so I'm glad we did a nice one on camera. Now I'm going to draw one on top, just to make sure all four sides line up. Make sure you know which way your stencil goes. I know the side with my markings always faces up. If I were to flip it over, it wouldn't line up correctly, and it would look a little bit weird. And there we go. Now I have 5 faces, all made from a stencil I made from a piece of paper. You can do this with a rectangle. It won't turn out as perfect, but you'll have to work with it a little bit. But if you become an expert at this, you can do it. I like to start with squares because it's a nice, easy shape. It can turn into a lot of things, especially if you turn it diagonal or sideways. But I'm excited to see what you guys make. There's math involved, creativity, art, some imagination with deciding what you want it to turn out like, and it's a really fun project to be able to do. That's all I have for you guys, so I can't wait to see your awesome tessellations. Thank you guys for tuning in with real inspired learning with New Minds, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Keep practicing your passions until they become your talents, and thank you guys for watching.